All right, everybody, a little redo of the 11 o'clock update. Apparently the audio just stopped working after the first few seconds. So I'm recording this with my phone without Facebook. I've had way too many Facebook fails between that and a new pair of one of those new AirPod Pros also having connection issues with the phone. I think we're just going to do this old school style, record and upload. So you're watching this on a delayed time schedule, but you're going to get better information and hopefully better audio too. So the latest as of the 11 o'clock advisory on Ian is that we've got a hurricane that is coming off the northern coast of Cuba, and it is a category 3. Now, not as strong as it was earlier at 5 a.m. It has weakened a little bit. And one thing I want to point out here is that not just that the winds are down to 115 miles an hour, but that the northern motion, the motion north, the speed that the storm is moving at, has decreased to 10 miles per hour. It was moving at 14 last night. The slower it goes north, the faster it turns east. And I think that is starting to be reflected in the National Hurricane Center forecast, which has in this update again shifted east. And this is now a trend that has happened over the last 3 other updates as well. And the farther east it goes, the farther south it makes landfall. Also, I want to point out that the hurricane watches have been extended down south of Bonita Beach. Hurricane Center is watching this trend. Tropical storm warnings have been posted for Lake Okeechobee, and then from Boca Raton all the way north into Georgia, and then tropical storm watches for the South Carolina coast. So if you're traveling to the East Coast, Orlando, to Central Florida, thinking you're going to get away from this, there's still going to be some potential tropical storm conditions there and likely some power outages too. So if you're traveling east, you may be in a better location. You're not closer to the hurricane center, but the storm is going to cross the state. And that's why the warnings have been issued. Lots of little changes here. Surge warnings have been posted on the East Coast. Got the hurricane watch south of Bonita Beach. A surge watch has been issued for the South Carolina and Georgia coast. A tropical storm warning on the East Coast has been extended north into Georgia from Boca Raton. And a tropical storm watch is now in effect from Boca all the way down south to east of Flamingo, Florida. So that now includes a lot more of the area. Here is, take that off, the track of the storm and the previous 3 updates. And this is really, really important. I know it's really hard to see the actual current track, so I'm going to draw it as a red line. So let's do that again. Let's do that a little bit better. I'm going to draw it a little bit thicker so you guys could really make this out. But basically, to really focus so this line is as straight as possible. This is the 11 a.m. update. This was the 5 a.m. update, the green line. The yellow line was 11 p.m. last night. The orange line, 5 p.m. yesterday evening. Each one has successively shifted east by about 20 to 25 miles. The last one was the worst case scenario for Tampa Bay. The one before that was pretty bad too, as it would put the Bay in the maximum surge. But on this trend, things start to change a little bit. Now, I still want to caution that the National Hurricane Center forecast is not the exact way this thing is going to go. They're going to be pretty good at it. They're going to be pretty close. They'll be within 50 or 60 miles at this point, but that still means Bay to Port Charlotte at least, if not even down to Fort Myers in terms of the area that the storm could impact. But if it were to head to the south, if this trend is a real thing, then now over Tampa Bay, you're looking at a wind that's doing this, blowing offshore. So a couple of things. Number one, you're not going to get the huge push of the Gulf of Mexico into the Bay like we were thinking before. It's going to be lower. But it could also mean some flooding on the east side of Pinellas County if we get the wind picking up some of this Hillsborough Bay water and moving it down into Pinellas. So things start to shift because now the winds are going in a different direction. The real problems are going to be down to the south towards Port Charlotte where the wind is onshore, and now you're putting water down into that bay just south of Port Charlotte. So that is also a situation now that we're watching for our folks down to the south. Fort Myers as well on this track, south of the track of the storm, you're putting in a lot of water into some of these bays. Really strong southeast winds right there in the Caloosahatchee River. You're filling that up with water, and that's going to cause flooding around Port Charlotte and Fort Myers if this trend continues. I'm really hoping this is it. I don't think this puts us out of the danger zone just yet. I like where this is going. Obviously, more of these updates are going to make me feel better. But the one thing that I want to say is that last weekend, over the weekend, remember the track was shifting west and it looked like it was going to go away from us. And then it stopped. And then it started shifting back east. That windshield wiper game, you can play it all as much as you want, but at some point, this storm is going to get so close that you're just going to have to throw away these forecasts and these models and just see where it tracks. So hopefully this track is on target. The view of the storm right now, really impressive. The eye just came off the Cuban coast. The eye wall's now moving away. It's hard to tell because I don't know what angle this is at. It's definitely moving straight north. If it's inching a little bit east of north, that could mean that that turn may already be slowly beginning. The faster it moves east, the more it moves east while it's in this position, the more likely it is to then miss Tampa Bay. The Hurricane Center is reacting to this in their latest storm surge forecast, dropping the surge forecast for Tampa Bay from 5 to 10 feet, from 7 to 10 feet to 5 to 8. So they've dropped it by 2 feet. And they've moved a heavier surge forecast south towards Fort Myers, 8 to 12 feet. Why is it higher than it was in Tampa Bay when the storm was moving into Tampa Bay? That's because, and I know this is hard to see, the intensity of the storm is different with this forecast. As the storm goes north, it's going to weaken. If it stays out farther west, it'll weaken more over water and come in as a weaker storm. But if it weakens on a more easterly track, like it is doing now, it'll spend less time over water and it'll get to land faster, meaning it'll be a stronger storm. It'll have less time to weaken. So the Hurricane Center now, instead of bringing a 120 mile an hour storm into Tampa Bay, they're bringing one at 125. So the storm is stronger when it goes farther south, and the timing moves up as well. In the 5 a.m. update, it was supposed to be just north of Bradenton at 2 a.m. on Thursday, because it has to take a wider turn to get there. It covers more distance. On this forecast, it's making landfall somewhere between Sarasota and Port Charlotte at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, 6 hours earlier. So the farther south it goes, the timing of the landfall is moved up as well. So if this trend continues, certainly maybe looking better. This is way too early to call that, but we definitely like that trend. Surge warnings continue though, not just in our area, but they've been extended down through Naples and into the Everglades. And the flooding here could be serious. When you look at the surge forecast for Port Charlotte, everything in red here, you're looking at 9 feet of water, orange 6 feet of water, yellow 3 feet of water, inundation. That is really heavy, a lot of the city. Same deal down toward Fort Myers, North Fort Myers. These are the bridges into downtown, Fort Myers Shores. Lots of flooding. Cape Coral. The beauty of Cape Coral, you got a canal in the back of your house to get you to the Gulf. The not so beautiful thing about that, you've got the Gulf in your backyard. The canal is the Gulf. If it's connected to the Gulf, that is the Gulf. And if the Gulf rises 10 feet, that canal rises as well. And the water in the canals is going to flood all the homes around it. So they really need to prepare. You know, I think the thing for Southwest Florida is that they were out of the cone for a while. This is where we add that little disclaimer saying just because you're in or out of the cone doesn't mean you're in or out of it. They were out of the cone for the weekend, and now the cone has swung back. So we have been kind of preparing for the storm really since Saturday. Folks went crazy shopping on Saturday. Southwest Florida, this is recent for them. And not only is it recent for them, but they have less time to prepare because now the storm is coming in, well, today's Tuesday, tomorrow night. So now instead of, having 3 or 4 days, they've got about 36 hours, less in some cases, to really prepare for that potential surge. So for them, I hope it doesn't shift too close to them, as that would be a real issue. The other issue that's now developing for us is that the center goes south, the rainfall north of it, around Tampa Bay, could really be serious. And right now, the Hurricane Center National Weather Service, they're thinking 15 inches to 20 inches potentially, somewhere north of the center. But I pulled up some of the model data here. So this is the European that came in overnight. It moves the center right through Sarasota County. Heavy rain all across Pinellas, Hillsborough, Northern Polk, over towards Pasco and Sumter counties. The GFS has a landfall somewhere near Port Charlotte, same deal, Venice, Englewood, Northport. But what it does is there's the center of the storm. This is 2 a.m. Thursday. It's still there at 8 a.m. Thursday. It's still there at 2 p.m. Thursday. It's moved maybe 20 miles, 8 p.m. Thursday. It's still there, 2 a.m. Friday. It stops the storm. So when you look at the rainfall forecast from the GFS, I think we can probably enlarge this so you get a better view of it. These browns here, that's over 25 inches of rain. Now, I think this is an outlier. I think right now this is a one-off. But if this storm were to stop, and it's definitely forecast to slow down to about 5 to 6 miles an hour, if that forecast is actually wrong and this thing is going to stop for a day, we could be looking at extreme flooding somewhere north of the track. That could be Polk County, that could be Hillsborough County, that would be Pinellas County. Unfortunately, you do not evacuate for this kind of flooding, but there are some cases where you can identify a situation where that might be reasonable. And that is if you have a creek, stream, or river in your backyard. If it's next to the house, within a couple of houses, that body of water, that creek or stream or river, could really flood over very quickly. I would think about maybe getting away from it. Otherwise, it's very hard to predict these values of higher rainfall, 15 to 20 inches, even if the National Hurricane Center forecast is the one that is correct. And that's kind of what the Euro is going with, is 15 to 20 inches, which is probably more reasonable for this storm, honestly, unless it stops. It's hard to predict what exact locations are going to get that. Not everyone in that swath is going to get 15 to 20 inches. Some small places will. Some small sections of this area will. So we'll just have to watch it, but this could be a real freshwater flooding situation as we go through the next couple of days. I am following this on Instagram. You can follow me at Greg D. Weather. When you go there to my profile, you can go in, click on my stories. There's not a lot of information in the feed. Click on my stories, click on my picture right there, and you will see quick little hits of information throughout the day about the storm. I don't want to put it into my feed because sometimes Instagram pulls up something from 3 days ago and you're going to get wrong information. So it's all in my Instagram stories. You can follow me there. All right, that's the latest here from the Tampa Heights Weather Center. Hopefully the sound worked just fine in this video. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. What are you doing for the storm? Are you prepping? Full disclosure here, I'm going to board up my house just because I may have people in it here during the storm when I'm not here. Originally, everyone was supposed to be gone, but there may be some folks that are staying here. I have boards that are pre-drilled and I have studs around the window. So it should be a pretty easy process. Actually, James Tully is going to help me do that. I'm hoping that it's a smooth process because looking at the radar, there's rain to our south, but it is dry right now. So I'm going to do this, and I hope you do this too. Once we finish boarding up, take some time, get outside, enjoy the cooler weather, the low 80s before the rain moves in, and just relax. Because the next couple of days, especially Wednesday into Thursday, that could be a little stressful for either the wind or the surge or the rain or all three in our area somewhere. So I definitely want to make sure that you take some time and just relax and enjoy yourself. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. I'm back tomorrow morning on ABC Action News, and I'm staying the night at the station. So you're going to get a lot of updates from us over the next several days. Take care.